let's practice reading more words with our syllable division rules. So here's our first word. I noticed right here the root character, but let's say you didn't know that word. So we start with dividing after a vowel before a single consonant here. Right here we have two consonants in a row, so we split there. Then we divide after a vowel before a single consonant here, split between these two consonants here. Most of the time CH says ch, but in some words, like this one, it uses its sound of k. In other words, it uses the sound of sh. When a syllable ends in a vowel, we try the vowel's long sound first. When we have a vowel in the middle or at the beginning of a syllable, we try the short sound first. Characteristics. Well, I don't recognize that word. So what do we do when we don't recognize the word? We start by going through and changing some of the long vowels to short vowels to see if that works. Right here, I noticed that this A is followed by an R. When you have A, R plus another consonant, it says R. But when you have A and R followed by a vowel, the A usually has the long A sound, care. So I'm going to keep this A long. This is a closed syllable with a vowel in the middle, so we'll keep the short sound. So the next vowel to consider is switching from a long E to a short E. But I noticed this E is followed by an R, and E and R together usually say So let's switch to Character. Oh, that's like the root here, character. Characteristics. Oh, I recognize that. Right here, I recognize the root class in it. But let's say you didn't recognize that. You still can use the rule split between a double consonant here, after a vowel before a single consonant here, here, and here. Right here, you could also use the rule to divide before a suffix, because here we have the suffix shun. These three syllables end in vowels, so we will try the vowel's long sounds first. This one has a vowel in the middle, so we will try the short sound. Classifications. Well, I don't recognize that, so let's start by switching this long I to a short I. Classifications. That sounds closer to something, so let's switch this long I to a short I. Classifications. Oh, I recognize that. Here's another long word. Let's start by noting the suffix ity right here. Ity is technically two syllables, but it's one suffix, so I kept it together and marked it in a different color. We want to divide between two consonants here, after a vowel before a single consonant here, between two consonants here, and right here we have two vowels in a row that do not make one sound. When we have an I before another vowel, we usually split after the I before the other vowel, so we will do that here. And like I said, we have the suffix ity, so we split here. One other thing to note is that T and I, as part of a suffix, have the sound of sh. You can see my video about Latin suffixes to learn more about that. Check the video's description for a link. Confidentiality. Well, that doesn't sound right, so let's switch this long I to a short I. Confidentiality. Well, that's close, but one thing you need to note is that when we divide between an I and another vowel, the I usually has a long E sound. So let's switch from a long I to a long E here, and remember that this T is going to say sh. Confidentiality. Confidentiality. There we go. Here in this word, I noticed the root confront. But let's say you didn't recognize that. We divide here after the prefix con, or if you don't recognize that as a prefix, you have three consonants in a row, and I can think of more words that start or end with FR than NF. So the F and the R are a blend that we will keep together. So we will split here. Divide between two consonants here, before the suffix shun here, and before the suffix ul here. Confrontational. That sounds very close. I would like to point out that this O will schwa and take on a muffled short U sound. And AL as a suffix sounds more like ul rather than a clear AL sound. Confrontational. Confrontational. Here we have the prefix con again, or if you notice all three consonants in a row, we would keep the G and R together and split here. Then we want to divide after a vowel before a single consonant here, here, and here. Here, you could also use the rule divide before a suffix. Congratulations. Well, I don't recognize that, so let's switch this long A to a short A. Congratulations. Here we have a long word with the root differ. So I'm going to split differ off from the rest of it because it looks like this will be differ plus a bunch of suffixes. Then I will divide between the doubled consonant here. So here we have our root and it's split. Now let's look at all the rest that appears to be suffixes. Here we will split between the two consonants, divide after an I before a vowel other than an E, and before the suffix shun. Differentiation. Differentiation. Did you remember the TI having the sh sound in a suffix? Here's another long word. Right away, I notice the prefix dis. So let's put that by itself. I also notice the suffix ments. So let's put that by itself. Now we're only left here with this part in the middle. So I will split between the double consonant. Disappointments. Did you remember that OI says oi? Disappointments. That sounds very close to a word. Let's figure out why it doesn't sound exactly right. Let's ignore this prefix here. Here we have the root appoint. Most English words that are 2 syllables or more that start with an A rather than having a clear short A sound of ah or a clear long A sound usually have a muffled schwa sound of So rather than using a short A sound, let's try the schwad sound and see if it works. Disappointments. There we go. Okay, here's a long word. Right away, I notice the prefix die and the suffix shun. So let's split those off. Right here, I have 2 consonants, so let's split between them. After a vowel, before a single consonant, here and here. Diversification. That doesn't sound quite right. This is the prefix die, so we will keep the long sound. So the next syllable to check would be this I. Let's change it from a long I to a short I. Diversification. That still isn't a word, so let's switch this to a short I. Diversification. There we go. Here's another long word. One thing I notice is I see the word magnetic in it. So we could split here, divide after a consonant before a single vowel. Here we have 3 vowels. The T and the R are the blend, so they stay together. And we will split here before our word magnetic. If you didn't recognize magnetic, that's okay. You divide between the 2 consonants here. And here we have the suffix ic. So we split here. English words do not usually end in the letter C unless they have the suffix ic. Electromagnetic. Electromagnetic. Let's look at this long word. I see the prefix im, or if you have 3 consonants together, P and L occur together at the beginning of many words, so keep them together and split here. Here I see the suffix shuns, so let's split there. After a vowel before a single consonant and between 2 consonants. Implementations. That sounds very close to a word, but not quite right. So let's look at our open syllables and change from long vowels to short vowels one at a time. Let's switch this long E to a short E. Implementations. Now looking at this word, right away I can see the root change in the middle. So let's put that by itself. And in front of that, I see the prefix inter. If you didn't recognize that, you would split right here between the 2 consonants, inter. This prefix is 2 syllables, but it's 1 prefix, so I put it in a different color. And this suffix is 2 syllables, but I kept it together in a different color. This suffix is pronounced ubble or ibble, depending on the word. By itself, this suffix is the word able with a clear long A sound. But suffixes in English are rarely accented, and they tend to have vowel sound schwa. So this A will take on a short U or a short I sound. So we have interchangeable. Let's look at our next word. Again, I see the prefix inter. So we divide between 2 consonants right here and split here after the prefix. Now I see the suffix shuns, so let's split there. So now we're just left with this part in the middle. Let's divide after the vowel before the single consonant. Interpretations. That almost sounds like a word. So let's change this long E to a short E. Interpretations. Here's a long word. Let's split between the two consonants here. After a vowel before a single consonant, E and U stay together, so we will divide after the U, and after a vowel before a single consonant here. P and H together say F, and E and U together have the long U sound. So pharmaceuticals. Note this A schwas. That almost sounds like a word, so let's switch this long A to a short A. Pharmaceuticals. That sounds closer, but still not quite right. We tried the long sound, then we tried the short sound. This part sounds correct, so let's keep it the same. So if you tried the long sound and the short sound for a syllable and neither sounds quite right, what do? Try schwaing it. Pharmaceuticals. Notice the A takes on the muffled schwa sound of or I. Here's the prefix pro, so put it by itself. Here's the suffix ism. It's 2 syllables, but I'm keeping it together. So let's look at this part in the middle. I see a double consonant, so we will split there. Oh, that also gives us the suffix shun. And here's another suffix al. Professionalism. Professionalism. Remember that the suffix al schwas. Okay, here's a long one. Let's start at the end. That might be easier. Here's the suffix li. Here's the suffix cal. Let's look at all this together. P and S together have the sound of s because the P is silent. Here we're going to divide after a vowel before a single consonant. I know C and H together are 2 consonants, but it has 1 sound, so we will treat it like 1 consonant. So divide here. After a vowel before a single consonant, here and here. Like I said, this P will be silent. Psychologically. That sounds like a mess. Let's fix this from the end. Here we know we have li. Here we have the suffix al, which we know schwas to ul, so kali. Ooh, right here I noticed this looks like the word logic. So let's change this long I to a short I. Logically. Oh, that makes sense. That's actually a word, logically. Now what can we do with this? Well, we tried the ch sound, which is most common for English words. The second most common sound is the k sound in Greek words. And the PS at the beginning of a word also happens in Greek words. So let's switch this CH to the k sound. Psychologically. That sounds very close. Let's switch this long O to a short O. Psychologically. That sounds even closer. We tried the long sound. We tried the short sound. Now let's try schwaing it. Psychologically. That's the word. If you found this useful, please share it on Facebook, X, or WhatsApp.